Hi, my name is Kian. I was born in the Middle East in a country that is filled with ancient history, but sadly right now it has fallen into the hands of very corrupt leaders who, under the banner of Islam, are actually hurting and killing its people. I was raised in a religious household, and ever since I was a child, I felt like I was always very aware of the spiritual world. I used to sense things and I saw strange things. Sometimes these things felt like they were my friends, but other times they scared me. And I initially thought that these things were just angels and they were playing with me. And in Islam, angels, spirits, and demons are actually meaning those who are better than us. But I soon came to realize that that wasn't true at all. And as I grew older, I told my family about these things that I would experience, these things that I would see, but they would just tell me that, Kian, it's just a dream, or you were just having a nightmare. But for me, it felt very real. And eventually I started trusting these spirits. I started to think that they were my guardian angels, that they were sent here to protect me, to give me power. And honestly, I thought I was special and I was chosen. I felt like they were telling me that they will make me even stronger. And it felt incredible. Other than that, I feel like I lived a pretty normal life. Like many of my friends, I grew up, went to school, I had a stable job, bought my own home until I turned 25. When I turned 25, my father passed away unexpectedly, and I loved him, and my family loved him very much. And his death broke our family, and I fell into depression, and that depression eventually turned into rage. And I felt like my mind was just being filled with darker, deeper, and dangerous thoughts. And those spirits that I have trusted, and I felt like that they were having a stronger control over my mind. And for the first time in my life, I started to think that maybe these spirits weren't good at all. Maybe these spirits were actually evil. And at that moment, the smallest glimmer of light broke through the darkness, and deep down, I started to tell myself that there's no way that an angel of God could lead someone this path. And I felt like that I was deceived all along. I felt like that I had given my trust to something that was leading me astray. I started to question everything, the religion, Islam, the teachings, my beliefs. I started to ask myself, what good God could lead a person down these places? And I didn't know what to believe anymore. But I did know one thing. I did know that I still believed and loved Allah, but I started questioning Islam. So I started researching, I started reading the text, and the more I read, the more I saw lies and how violence was encouraged within these so-called sacred texts. I felt like that everything that I had believed my whole life was all based on a lie, and I felt like my whole life just fell apart at that point. I knew that I still loved God and believed in God, and I chose to stop following any religion. I chose to stop associating myself with these spirits. And I thought things would get better from there, but things just got worse. Night after night, the darkness grew, and I felt like I had no control over my mind. I had no control over myself. And things weren't just happening in my mind. I felt like my whole life was falling apart. Every business deal that I made fell through for strange reasons. I lost money. I tried to sell my house, but no one would buy it. And And I felt like my whole world was in complete chaos. And I tried everything. I went to every spiritual leader. I said every prayer that they told me to pray, every mantra, but nothing seemed to work. I even went to the extremes of going to an exorcist, offering sacrifices, and marching around my room shouting random prayers. But nothing was changing. I remember one night, I was at the end of my rope, and I sat up at the edge of my bed, and I remember praying, God, I thought this was your angel. Why aren't you helping me? Please save me. And as I prayed that prayer, a radiant, bright figure came up behind me. And I remember not being able to move. I remember my body freezing up. And all I could see was this bright light. And I hear a knock. I hear 3 knocks. And as I look over my shoulder, I just felt this peace. I felt this light just shining over me. And then I heard 3 knocks again. And then this figure came close to me, so close that his knees were almost touching my shoulder. And then I asked, "Are you Jesus?" And then he nodded his head in confirmation, and then he said, "I am here with you. I am who you are looking for." And I broke down in tears, and I began to weep. And he gently taps my shoulders 3 times, coming even closer to my face. And I just shut my eyes, and I felt love, and I felt peace, and I haven't felt that in such a long time. And when I opened my eyes, he was gone. But immediately, these words that I haven't read before, that I haven't heard before, came into my mind. "Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person and they with me." And I haven't heard these words ever before, and I soon came to realize that these words actually came from the Bible in the book of Revelations. And I remember opening my room that day, and my life just suddenly makes sense. That Jesus has saved me, and he broke every chain, every stronghold has shattered, and no darkness has control over my life anymore. And from that day on, everything in my life just started falling into place. I had a sound mind, I grew stronger, I got married, I bought a home again, I learned how to laugh and began to live with the hope for today and the future. And to this day, I had never turned back. And no hint of darkness has ever returned. There's no more torment in my soul, and I can finally say that I am free. And I'm here to tell you that Jesus Christ is alive. And I saw him with my own eyes, and this is not just something that I dreamt about. This is not just something that I have imagined. I saw him with my own eyes while I was awake. And I heard his voice 3 times. And just like how Jesus Christ came out of the grave on the 3rd day, Jesus showed me that I am a new creation and that he has saved me, and that my past is gone, and I now know the truest of truths. And I know my purpose now. I know my purpose is to share the message of Jesus Christ with as many people as I can. And I have confidence to boldly say that I am walking with God, and whatever he asks me to do, I will do, even if it doesn't make sense. To share Jesus Christ to people actually invites a death sentence in my home country. But by the power and by the grace of Jesus, I can gladly say that I have shared the gospel message to more than 150 people. The simple gospel message that says, for everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. And now God led me to Canada through a vision that He gave me, and I am now part of this great church. I have a wonderful community, and now I have dreams to share the love of Jesus with children all across the Arab world. And I am certain that by His will and the church that He is building, that many will find the salvation through the transforming power of Jesus Christ. My name is Kian. This is my story to faith in Jesus Christ.